I'm Jasmine Hankerson. I am the sports editor here at the Center for the Future, and today I'm sitting down with Ryan Gillespie, the editor-in-chief here, and we're going to preview the Knights' season opener in Ireland against Penn State. So I guess to start off, Ryan, what would you say is the difference between Penn State this year and last year?
I mean, the obvious difference would be at the head coach. Last year, Bill O'Brien was the head coach at Penn State. He took the job at the Houston Texans. So now the new head coach there is James Franklin, formerly of Vanderbilt. He really took that program up a big notch in his time at Vanderbilt, put him in a bowl game last year. He brought a lot of his staff over from Vanderbilt, so the coordinators are from Vanderbilt. Solid coaching staff. Still a good team. I don't know if they're going to be much better or worse than last year. I think they're pretty much on par. Christian Hackenberg will really take them where they need to go from the quarterback position.
We've got quarterback talk on each side, but can you expand a little bit more on Christian and how you think that he'll handle this game?
Christian's a good quarterback. He was a freshman last year. He's a former five-star recruit by Rivals, one of the top players in the nation when he came out of high school. Big quarterback, pretty good athlete. He's about 6'5". He played really well against UCF last year. That was, I believe, his third career start. Probably the best team he had faced at that point. And, he matched Bortles, throw for throw for the most part. That was a 34-31 game, so he kept him in it last year. There's been comparisons to Andrew Luck as far as, hype and things like that. He's going to be somebody that, George O'Leary said that if he keeps progressing the way he has so far, each game last year he got better, that he's somebody that we're going to hear a lot about when he's moving forward. So he's a guy that you could see, being a first-round pick whenever he decides to come out to the NFL. He's a year away from that. But, he very well could be the best team or best quarterback UCF will face this season, and they're getting that test, game one.
And which is going to be good for them coming out with some readjustments. Obviously, the most pertinent one being Blake Bortles gone and Pete DeNovo back in for him. So I guess I would say, what would you say are maybe some strengths and weaknesses for both sides? We've got the quarterback question and situation with UCF, new head coach at Penn State. What's it looking like there?
I mean, if you look at Penn State, their strength is going to be in the running game. They came at UCF on the ground last year. They had some success doing it. Senior Zach Winak had 3 touchdown runs last year. He's back. They're a little unsettled on the offensive line. They have a stud left tackle, but they've had a lot of moving pieces there up front. But it's still Penn State. Those Big Ten teams, they typically have strong, big offensive lines. And they were able to push UCF around a little bit last year. I would expect to see a similar strategy. It's hard to get a true read of how they're going to be offensively because such a big part of their offense left last season. And Allen Robinson, who is now looks to be one of Blake Bortles' top targets in Jacksonville. Robinson was 40% of their passing offense, from the receiver position. He had a good game against UCF last year. He was Hackenberg's top weapon. It's going to be interesting to see how Hackenberg adjusts to not having that security blanket there. The weakness for them, I would say, would be that offensive line. It's just going to be a question of if they can come together, if they can move a stout UCF defense off the line of scrimmage. The game will be won and lost, I think, at the line of scrimmage. The team that controls the line will win the game. For UCF, I'd say their strength would be offensively, it's going to be that receiving core, how Pete DeNovo can use them. If he can get the ball down the field, I think UCF will be okay. I think Will Stanback's going to have a solid game. I think he's going to get a lot of work. The true strength of UCF, though, is that defense. They returned 9 starters from last year. It's a deep unit, which is not what they were last year. They're very talented. I'd look for Terrence Plummer, Troy Gray to have big games in the linebacking core. They'll play a big role in stopping that Penn State running game.
So what do you think DeNovo has to be feeling? He's going into this game out of the country, first game starting for a team like UCF with the success they had in 2013. What is he thinking?
I mean, the players have been saying that they think DeNovo is going to handle the pressure. But I think they'd also be lying to you if they told you that he's not nervous, because he's got to be nervous. I mean, he's taken over the reins for the best player, in this program's history on a team that has high expectations coming off how great of a season last year was. DeNovo's under pressure. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to win the game for UCF. They're a really solid team. He's not going to have to win the game. He just can't lose the game. But, when you jog out on that field that has been called the Yankee Stadium of Ireland. That's a lot of pressure. I think DeNovo can handle it. I don't think they're going to put too much on his plate. I don't think they're going to ask him to do too much. And he's got a monster running back behind him in Will Stanback that I think is going to have to shoulder the load tomorrow, but he's more than capable of doing it. As long as DeNovo doesn't lose the game for UCF, they should be okay.
So we've got a lot about what you think may happen. So let's just go ahead and say, what is your prediction for this game?
I think it's a pretty even game, but I kind of side with George O'Leary here. Earlier in the week, he was saying he thinks the first game of the season is a lot about your base offense and your base defense and the ability to adjust. I'm going with UCF 27-20. I think, O'Leary being in his 11th year, the players it's a very experienced group. They know the offense, they know the defense. They'll be able to adjust, I think, better than Penn State and the first-year head coach with a young quarterback. So I'm going to go UCF in a 27-20 game. I think Stanback's going to have a big day. I think the defense is going to be able to limit Christian Hagenberg.
All right, it's set. Let's book it. I promise this green wasn't planned, but the game does kick off Saturday morning, 8:30 Eastern Time in Dublin, Ireland. You can follow us on Twitter at CFF Sports or UCF News for updates on the game.